And joined now by Frankie Corrado. And Frankie, all 7 Canadian teams will start their season 1 week from tonight, so it is the perfect time for you to shine a spotlight on their one weakness. You like that?
Yeah.
Let's start in the East. What are the key issues for the Habs, the Sens, and the Maple Leafs?
Why don't we start with the Habs? And there's very encouraging signs with this team, especially with the young players that they have on the back end. But the biggest weakness for the Habs, they're missing a super dynamic element up front. And Caulfield and Suzuki are nice players. Slavkovsky is not quite along there yet. They need something that's going to take them over the top as far as a super dynamic young player. When you look at the Ottawa Senators, they're in trouble right now, and it's very concerning what is happening in the middle of the ice for them. With Josh Norris having a tweak to whatever injury he has and Shane Pinto not signed, what was supposed to be a position of strength for them down the middle of the ice very quickly turns into a position of weakness for them. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, the story keeps going on. They are lacking a robust physical presence on the back end. They had that with Luke Schenn. They had it with Jake Muzzin. They have it to some degree with Jake McCabe, but they don't have enough of it. And at some point here in the when we get closer to the playoffs, they're going to need to address that situation.
And that's somewhat of a broken record in Toronto, isn't it? They've got this defensive core that nobody thinks can actually hold up. So did Brad Treliving make a mistake by only adding John Klingberg to the back end?
No, he didn't make a mistake by only adding John Klingberg. He's addressed something else. He's addressed a need that there needs to be an injection of offense from the blue line. But when you look at Brad Treliving's track record as far as acquiring high-end defensemen around the league, he's done a good job of it. He acquired Dougie Hamilton. He then acquired Noah Hannafin. He's acquired Mackenzie Weegar. This is a general manager that knows how to acquire top-tier defensemen around the league. I would imagine he's going to do that at some point this season in Toronto.
Okay, so let's shift our attention to the West. Last year, the Oilers and the Jets made the playoffs with the Canucks and the Flames missing out. So what are the biggest weaknesses there?
For the Jets, outside of Josh Morrissey, I don't see enough puck-moving ability on the back end. And you know what that spells. That spells too much time in your own zone. That spells too much pressure for Connor Hellebuck and not getting the puck into the forwards for the Winnipeg Jets that can do a very good job of filling the net when need be. For the Calgary Flames, for me, this team just needs a little more speed, and they've tried to address it by they traded Tyler Toffoli. He said he wasn't going to be there long term. Sharon Govich is a faster player. Coronado, we'll see how his speed holds up. He looks good in the preseason, but that'll be the big question. There are some slowing down legs up front for the Calgary Flames. For the Vancouver Canucks, they've addressed some things on the back end. They brought in Carson Soucy. They brought in Ian Cole. That's great. They still don't have a bona fide top pair defenseman to play with Quinn Hughes. And when you look around the league, that top pair is integral to a team that's going to make the playoffs. You need a top pair that's going to play 20 minutes with ease, control the game. They still don't have that. They have one half of a top pair in Vancouver. And then for the Edmonton Oilers, just like we talked about the Leafs on the back end, well, the story continues for the Oilers. It's the goaltending. I'm not convinced that Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner are equipped to win a Stanley Cup, and that's where the Edmonton Oilers are right now. We know they have the horses. We know they've improved the back end, but that tandem combined, are they able to win a Stanley Cup? That question remains to be seen.
But let's not forget, the last goalie to hoist the Stanley Cup was Adin Hill, and he was not on the radar at this time last year. So does that give you any optimism that Skinner or Campbell can get the job done?
It gives me optimism for sure. You don't need to be Vasilevsky to win a Stanley Cup. It's been done. Darcy Kemper won a Stanley Cup. But I would also say that the team in front of Adin Hill and the Vegas Golden Knights was as sound defensively as there is in the National Hockey League. So if the Edmonton Oilers are committed to playing that way and helping out that tandem night in and night out, they'll have a chance. But they need to hold up their end of the bargain as well. Jack Campbell has to play like a $5 million goaltender, and Stuart Skinner, when given the opportunity, has to roll it over consistently and not let in that squeaky goal that he's prone to do at times.
Well, heading into the season, FanDuel has the Oilers and the Leafs tied for the third best odds to win the Stanley Cup, trailing only Colorado and Carolina. Frankie, thanks for this.